Good morning, Frederick.
Morning.
What an incredible turnout. Woo! I'm Richard Griffin. I'm Director of Economic Development for the City of Frederick, and it is truly my honor and privilege to welcome each of you to this event in historic downtown Frederick on Carroll Creek Park on behalf of Mayor Michael O'Connor and County Executive Jessica Fitzwater. The city and the county have been in lockstep to deliver this project, and I, along with so many, appreciate and support that support and leadership. We're ecstatic, Governor Moore, that you've chosen to sign your landmark executive order entitled Strengthening Maryland's Business Climate to Bolster Economic Competitiveness here in Frederick at this groundbreaking economic development event. So Governor Moore and other distinguished guests, today we're going to initiate the development of a $100 million downtown Frederick Hotel and Conference Center and the full rehabilitation of the historic Frederick Trolley Building. In just a short while, we're going to start taking down the non-historic News Post press room, which was vacated a number of years ago for a new state-of-the-art press facility. Now, why is this project important? Well, as I was thinking about that, I recalled sitting with a distinguished Frederictonian by the name of Mr. George Dredden in his home here in Frederick in 2010, a few weeks before his passing. For those of you who knew George, you know that he loved Frederick, and he was a force for partnership and forward movement. For those of you who didn't know him, let me share a little bit about his background. Mr. Dredden was a Korean war veteran, go Army, and later a laboratory technician at Fort Detrick. He was the deputy director of the National Training Institute of Equal Opportunity Commission, EEOC, founder and publisher of the County Globe newspaper, and served on nearly every nonprofit and church-related board in Frederick. Now you might say, that's a remarkable life, but what does it have to do with economic development, Richard, and this project? Well, let me share just a little more. George was appointed by then Governor William Donald Schaefer to the Maryland Human Relations Committee and the Maryland Economic Development Task Force. His deep and abiding concern for the welfare of Frederick led him to serve as the vice chairman of the Frederick County Planning and Zoning Commission, chair of the Frederick County Economic Development Commission, and president of the Frederick County Chamber of Commerce. Now maybe you can see where I'm headed. So when George called me to his home back that day in 2010, I wasn't sure what to expect, and honestly, I was a little nervous. He didn't wait for the coffee to be served and got right to business. Richard, Frederick needs this hotel and conference center in downtown Frederick as an economic anchor along Carroll Creek Park. This project is so important to fulfill the long-time redevelopment plans that Mayor Ron Young put in place to create jobs, tax base, and most of all, to serve the needs of the residents and businesses of Frederick. He believed that this project was a game changer for attracting business, and he was adamant that we not take our eye off the ball and for us to work together with the Chamber of Commerce and others to make it happen. He believed that partnership was critical to success. Now, he had a few other things to say that day, but his wife, Ruth, interrupted us with the now brewed coffee, and after I left, I had strong feelings about this project, which have stayed with me to this day. Mr. Dredden, if you're listening, and I know you are, we have moved the ball forward, we're on the 1-yard line, and we're ready to score a touchdown for this community and the state of Maryland. Thank you for all of your time. Now, I mentioned Ron Young. Ron Young is here with us also today. He was an inspirational mayor. Raise your hand, Ron, over there. He was an inspirational mayor for 17 years, whose efforts followed the Great Frederick floods, led to the development of Carroll Creek Park project, which removed downtown from the 100-year floodplain and allowed millions in new mixed-use development to occur. The city could have just built a giant ditch through downtown, but through Ron's leadership, it was decided to underground the flood channels so that later the city could invest in a $27 million world-class linear park, attracting more than $200 million in private investment, hundreds of jobs, and adding another attraction to the more than 2 million visitors a year who come to downtown Frederick. Thank you, Ron. That original master plan that converted Ron's vision to a living plan called for a hotel and conference center to anchor the new 1.5 mile long park and help revitalize this part of the city. It's taken us a few years, Ron, but we haven't forgotten the vision. Now, one of the individuals who helped put this conference center in scoring position was Mr. Earl Robbins, Jr., our former project chairman, chamber member, and retired East Alco executive. Mr. Robbins, raise your hand. Where are you, sir? Right there. Mr. Robbins is here today with his wife, Olivia, who was a former assistant principal at Frederick High School. Earl, thank you so much for your time, your leadership, and your patience. You never knew that retirement could be so good. Now, economic development is a team sport. Others who have never wavered in their partnership with this project and representing their organizations here today, and I'll ask that you hold your applause. Rick Weldon, CEO of the nation's first chartered chamber, the Frederick County Chamber of Commerce. Rick, where are you? Dave Zidelis, Executive Director of Visit Frederick, and his predecessor, John Fiesler. Raise your hand, Dave. Kara Norman, Executive Director of the Downtown Frederick Partnership. And Laura Fritz, Director of the Frederick County Office of Economic Opportunity. Now, the five of us amigos that I just called out, we have a weekly coordination meeting all about business for years now, and you might guess that this project has been front and center as we've worked on our past run strategies heading for the end zone. But also providing counsel and support have been Guyan Sampson, the Chief of Staff to the Mayor, Alan Etzler, Communications Manager, Kathy Callahan-Brady, CEO of the Frederick Innovative Technology Center, Megan Swigert, Executive Director of Tech Frederick, Chris McDonald with Golden Mile Alliance, Kelly Spohr, Director of Fort Detrick Alliance, Dr. Bill Reed, President of the Asian American Center of Frederick, and from my team, Mary Ford Nail, Manager of Economic Development for the city. All of those folks have been instrumental. Now, I could go on to tell you much more about this project, but by the numbers, tax base, jobs, induced investment, and more, but I'm going to defer to my boss, Michael O'Connor, the county executive, and Maryland's incredible leader, Governor Wes Moore, to share the details. But let me conclude my remarks by saying that when my wife and I arrived in Frederick in 1996, Frederick's top taxpayer was a now largely vacant retail mall property, which is being revitalized. Today's top taxpayer in Frederick, and one of our largest employers, is AstraZeneca, which has invested a couple $2 billion in this community and is one of our largest employers. Their North American biopharmaceutical manufacturing facility employs nearly 800 here in Frederick, and in fact, the city of Frederick now is home to over 4,000 businesses which employ over 60,000 people. AstraZeneca and other major employers like them have clamored for a full-service hotel in this community for years. Fort Detrick considered building it on the fort and opted out for a number of reasons, but have chosen to throw their support behind the community's desire to build it here in downtown. See, it's time. To build it here in the highly amenitized downtown with over 200 independent retailers, restaurants, breweries, distilleries, museums, theaters, and more. Which brings me to our developers. Frederick-based Plomondon Hospitality Partners and Randall Cap are both local organizations that have invested to move this project forward. Pete and Jim Plomondon are co-owners and CEOs of Plomondon Hospitality Partners. Raise your hands, guys. They responded to the community's call for a developer to build a new hotel and conference center in downtown along Carroll Creek Park, and their team has never wavered wavered. They have consistently moved the ball down the field through public hearings, historic preservation meetings, site planning, engineering, financing, and more. Thank you, Pete and Jim. Their partner, the Randall family, is represented here today by Will Randall, and they are moving forward to fully renovate the historic trolley building for retail and offices. Will, raise your hand. They're represented by Will Randall. Additionally, they are renovating the adjacent former Eagles project just to our side over there for a restaurant and rooftop bar. The Randall family was the longtime owner of the Frederick News Post and are involved in numerous philanthropic and redevelopment projects in Frederick. Thank you, Will, for attending and setting the stage. Now, I'm going to yield the podium to our other speakers, but I want to recognize that we do have a number of elected officials in the audience today, other than our speakers. So from the Frederick City Council, we have Council Member Kelly Russell, Derek Shackelford, and Ben McShane. Raise your hands, please. From the Frederick County Council, we have Council President Brad Young, Vice President Cavante Duckett, Council Member MC Keegan Ayer, and did I miss anyone? That's it. Thank you very much. And of course, Governor, you brought the whole state of Maryland with you. We are so thrilled to have in our midst Susan Lee, the Secretary of State, Kevin Anderson, the Secretary of Commerce, Portia Wu, the Secretary of Labor, Jake Day, the Secretary of Department of Housing and Community Development, Rebecca Flores, Secretary of Planning, Maria Martinez, Special Secretary to the Governor for Small Minority and Women Business Affairs. And if I can turn my page, Troy LeMay Stovall, the CEO of the Technology Development Corporation of Maryland, Candace Dodson-Reed, Chief of Staff for Maryland Economic Development Corporation, and of course, Manny Welsh, Deputy Chief of Staff for your office, sir. We appreciate everything he's done and all of these individuals to help us move the needle. Applause. Raise your hands. And I promise that I'm moving on. I just want to recognize that Mary Kane, CEO of the Maryland Chamber, is here. Kathy Hollinger, CEO of the Greater Washington Partnership. Mark Anthony Thomas, CEO of the Greater Baltimore Committee. Shalonda Stokes, CEO of the Downtown Partnership of Baltimore. Jack McDougall with the Greater Washington Board of Trade. Kelly Schultz, CEO of the Maryland Tech Council. Eddie Resende, CEO of the World Trade Center. And Pam Ruff, the Executive Director of the Maryland Economic Development Association, MEDA, my boss in my spare time, because I'm currently serving as the President of the Board of Directors of MEDA. And lastly, I'd like to recognize someone who, without her tireless work for many years, we could not be here today, and that would be Jan Gardner, the former county executive who's with us in the audience today. She was always by our side and helped us all the way. Jan, raise your hands. Thank you. All right. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'm sorry it took a little bit of time, but I thought the background was pretty important here. We're going to get on with the show. Our first speaker this morning is Frederick's fantastic county executive, Jessica Fitzwater. Jessica has been a tireless supporter of education, parks, business development, and of course, this project. The City of Frederick is grateful for her leadership and support as we continue to partner for progress. Jessica Fitzwater.
Good afternoon, Frederick. What an exciting day, and it's really shown by the number of folks that have come out to celebrate this monumental occasion. I'm County Executive Jessica Fitzwater, and it is truly an honor to welcome Governor Moore and so many members of his cabinet here to Frederick County. We're always excited when the governor is in town. We are here to celebrate progress on the Downtown Hotel and Conference Center. And Governor Moore is here to sign an executive order to strengthen Maryland's business climate and bolster our economic competitiveness. Today's ceremony has been a long time coming, and it celebrates a true public-private partnership designed to bring a major economic development project across the finish line. And as Richard has already said, I know that many of you here today have been advocating for this project for years, and we are finally here. The county and the city of Frederick have long been partners in the Downtown Hotel and Conference Center because we know it will bring jobs, tax revenue, and private investment to our community. Mayor O'Connor and I are so grateful that the state of Maryland joined us in this important work with a $7.5 million investment through the FY25 capital budget, and as we learned this week, another $1 million investment through the Department of Housing and Community Development. That state investment really matters. Thank you. I can't tell you how many local businesses and organizations I've talked to who've said they've planned conferences in other jurisdictions because Frederick County does not have an amenity like a downtown hotel and conference center. And so instead of sending our dollars and our people out 70 or down 270 for conferences, local organizations and businesses will be able to hold their events right here in our historic downtown, and we will be able to draw events from across the region. The governor couldn't have picked a better spot than Frederick County to sign today's executive order. Frederick County has one of Maryland's fastest growing economies, and we have experienced year-over-year GDP growth. In fact, the latest data shows that we have seen the second fastest GDP growth in the entire state of Maryland, and I think that deserves a round of applause. Frederick County boasts a robust and diversified economy with life sciences and tech, advanced manufacturing, agriculture, and craft beverages, just to name a few. Governor Moore is focused on key sectors like life sciences, technology, and biotech because they truly are Maryland's future. These sectors are so important because of the benefits they bring our society. Biotechnology companies are finding cures. Cybersecurity companies are keeping us safe. They're also important because of the benefits they bring our community. They offer good paying jobs with room for employees to innovate and advance. And our community uniquely offers them a welcoming place to grow. Take, for example, Theradaptive, a company founded by a former civilian member of the command who licensed technology from Fort Detrick to use advanced protein engineering to develop a therapeutic that quickly heals bone. This technology has applications in joint, spine, and bone fractures. They started at the Frederick Innovative Technology Center, or FITCI, and I know Kathy Callahan-Brady got a shout out already. And then the company recently graduated and leased 28,000 square feet, which will allow them to manufacture this technology at scale. We want to be able to tell more stories like this one here in Frederick and in communities across Maryland. Working with Governor Moore and his team, I know we will demonstrate that we can grow our economy in an inclusive way while also protecting our environment and our quality of life. In Frederick County, we have a motto, that is, we have a rich history and bright future. And that sentiment truly couldn't be on more display than it is today, standing in our beautiful historic downtown, launching the region's most impactful economic development project of our time, and committing to a future of economic prosperity for the state of Maryland. I want to thank the governor, Mayor O'Connor, Secretary Day, the Plamondon family, the Randall family, and everyone who has been a part of this project. And I want to thank Governor Moore for his commitment to working with local partners to strengthen our economy, create good-paying jobs, and focus on sustainable growth for the future of our state of Maryland, the best state in the nation. What a day to celebrate. Congratulations, everyone. Next, I would like to invite up my partner in this work, Mayor Michael O'Connor.
I'm going to try and keep this brief. In the words of Lizzo, it's about damn time. Thank you, County Executive Fitzwater. I'm grateful for your leadership and for the opportunity to work alongside you every day on behalf of our shared constituents. Welcome to the beautiful city of Frederick. and in particular, our vibrant and historic downtown. Frederick is Maryland's second largest city and has become a leading job center anchored by biotech and life sciences at Fort Detrick and the Frederick National Labs, along with private sector companies that you've already heard about, like AstraZeneca, Precision for Medicine, and more. As Richard mentioned, virtually every business I have visited over the last 7 years, and it has been hundreds, has mentioned a desire and a need for a full-service downtown hotel and conference center to hold business meetings and overnight their out-of-town guests. Since the initial efforts more than a decade ago, and you can actually trace it back farther than that, we've never wavered from our plan to make it happen. So thank you, all of you, for being here today. I would be remiss if I did not recognize some specific individuals who have played a role in getting us to this point, and I know some of them have acknowledged already, but I think it's really important to say thank you to the people who got us here today. I want to thank our city council members and the boards of aldermen before them for their consistent support of this project, as well as our county executive and the members of the county council over several administrations. I want to acknowledge former County Executive Jan Gardner, who is here, for her 8 years of determined support for this endeavor, and then some. Thank you for setting the standard for county executives in our county and for your partnership with the City of Frederick. Of course, I want to thank all of our state partners, Governor Moore, your wonderful Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller, Secretary Jake Day, the entire cabinet that's here today, and the teams that you have built around you. You have all been incredible partners to our city. Thank you to our District 3 delegation, Senator Karen Lewis Young, and Delegates Ken Kerr, Chris Fair, and Karen Simpson. Delegates Fair and Delegate Simpson are here today. Thank you very much. You have been strong voices of support for this project. You've been advocates in the General Assembly and true allies to the city. We couldn't thank you enough. Of course, we would not be here without our developer on the project, Plymouth Hospitality Partners, and Randall Cap, the owners of the building behind us, and the group that has been equally committed to revitalizing not just this building, but as Richard mentioned, the one just to the east of us that will be home to a beautiful new reinvestment opportunity. And then there's the Bagel Group, which Richard referenced. And they're called the Bagel Group because when we initially started meeting about 15 years ago under then County Economic Development Director Marie Keegan, it was always around bagels. I think those meetings have gone virtual now. I think that happened during COVID. But every week they meet and connect, and that partnership is evidenced around us today, and it is why Frederick is the place where we see the kind of success that we do. The Mayor to Employers group of the Chamber of Commerce, which Richard didn't call out by name, has been foundational in getting us to where we are and identified the need for this project long before many of us who are in public office today took on our roles. And he's acknowledged Earl Robbins, but it's important to acknowledge the effort that he gave in spearheading this with the advisory team task force many years ago in the very early years of this project when we're still trying to find our feet. And of course, to one of the visionary leaders of this entire Carroll Creek redevelopment, who always envisioned destination lodging in downtown as part of this effort, our former mayor and retired Senator Ron Young. Mayor Young, because it's the best job you'll ever have, Ron, thank you for being here today, for all you have done for our city, and I am so glad that you're able to see this vision come to fruition. When I sat down with my team to discuss today's remarks, I asked them to come up with as complete a list as possible of those who played a part in getting us here. And what I received from my comms team was a binder that's almost as thick as the comprehensive plan for the city of Frederick. Now, truthfully, this binder's a prop. but the contributions are real. To make a project like this happen over the length of time that we have been working to make it happen, you need a nearly endless list of partners, and you need the stars to align, sometimes multiple times. And that's what today is, the final aligning of those stars. I've looked at this wall behind me for more than a decade. I haven't seen an empty press room. I've seen untapped potential. Untapped potential for economic growth in our urban core and untapped potential for sustainable, smart growth. And I've honestly anguished over whether we would ever find the right alchemy to get this project to where we need to be, to realize that potential. Well, we have, and we are. Today, we are marking the start of tapping that potential and tapping a cinder block wall and continuing our downtown's vibrancy march. This is opportunity manifesting before our eyes, and it's opportunity at many levels for our community. This project, once completed, represents an opportunity for a young family, perhaps, to have access to one of the 200 permanent, good-paying jobs that will come with it, or the hundreds of jobs needed to construct it. Jobs that will allow them to provide for their families and pursue their life goals. It's an opportunity for our local governments and our tourism industry to take a giant leap forward. Once completed, we'll have the ability to host conferences and events that will elevate Frederick on both the regional and national scene in new and exciting ways. It will support our residents and businesses, bring visitors to our city, help drive retail, restaurant, and cultural activity, and lead to further discovery of all the things that make Frederick special. And it's an opportunity for the state of Maryland to showcase what partnerships can achieve. We believe this project is the gold standard of what we can do when we come together and work together. We build a better future together. This project is one that will literally, in every sense of the word, be transformative for the city of Frederick. And it gives me great joy to welcome up one of the biggest supporters of this project and a person who shared this vision, believe it or not, even before he took office, and who has helped make the stars align. A little over 2.5 years ago, then candidate Wes Moore and I sat in some outdoor dining on Patrick Street and talked about the city of Frederick. And one of the things we talked about was this project. And I could see in that moment, he understood what this meant to the city of Frederick. And so from day one, from before day one, thank you for being a partner with the city of Frederick. Ladies and gentlemen, our governor, Wes Moore.
Thank you. Hey, Frederick, how you doing? Listen, this is a great day. It's a great day not just for Frederick. This is a great day for the state of Maryland. It's an exciting day because I can tell you any good day in Frederick is a good day for the state. Mr. Mayor, thank you. First of all, anybody that can give a brilliant speech on economic development and start with Lizzo, I'm impressed by it, and you're right, it is about damn time. It is about damn time. And I did not, and I will never forget that initial conversation, because it's one of the things that is most taken me about this project, is that when you speak to anybody in Frederick and you ask them, what's the priority? What do you want to see? What's the hope? How can I help? It's amazing how unified the response was. This project, how do we build something that can not just be a gold standard for the state, but frankly, something that has caught the attention of people around the country? The level of focus, the level of intentionality, the level of discipline, and the level of vision that I can tell you right now, I spent a good part of my week talking to CEOs and trying to convince them to come to the state of Maryland, to try to thank them for the work they're already doing in the state of Maryland. And I am here to report that the buzz about Frederick, it is real. The excitement that CEOs continue to talk about when we talk about Frederick, it is real because they recognize that Frederick is home to some of Maryland's greatest assets in biotech and in manufacturing and life sciences, just to name a few. That they understand that Frederick is on the leading edge of innovations and discoveries. They understand that Frederick, this area, this region, this county, this city, is where families and businesses want to come and grow and thrive and succeed. But it is important to remember that success does not happen just because. Things do not change just because. They change because of leadership. They change because of intentionality. And they change because we have some remarkable leaders here in Frederick. We got a remarkable county executive in Jessica Fitzwater here in Frederick. We have remarkable partners like the mayor here inside of Frederick. We got remarkable members of the council. We have remarkable state delegates and state senators that are representing this area. And also I want to give a special shout out to Senator Karen Lewis Young and also her hubby, Senator Young. It's great to see you always. That we have tremendous partners that are representing all segments and sectors of this society, that this is a community that is rich of support from its nonprofit leaders and its corporate leaders and its community leaders and families and people who just believe in the hope and the promise of this place. That we have remarkable partners in making this done, and Peter and Jen, I just want to say thank you. Because in order to get this work done, and I remember from our first conversations, and again, I love that tie, that you all have been on the tip of the spear in order to make this happen. And we are thankful, and we're forever grateful. That we look out around this beautiful vista here, and we see what progress looks like. And we see what's required. Because what's genuinely required for progress is all of us. Every single person is willing to do their part. Every single person is willing to hold up their weight. And we talked about how this project is going to create over 200 jobs and generate more than $4 million in state and local tax revenue. We talked about how this project will contribute more than $1.5 billion to our economy over the next 2 decades. We talk about how, in order to get this done, it took work and time. And frankly, it should not have taken this much time to do something that was this important. So we said that in our time, and I'm grateful to have so many members of the extraordinary Moore Miller administration here. I have to tell y'all, this team is kind of like, I said it was like Voltron. But my kids didn't know who Voltron was, and I was like, okay, it's like the Avengers, and like, okay, we understand that. And they're like the Avengers, and I'm honored to be in this work with you all every single day. But we knew that in order to make this happen, it meant that as a team and as an administration that we've got to move differently. And we've got to be better partners. And that's exactly what I hope we were able to do. And so, in fact, this past May, for the second year in a row, I signed a bipartisan balanced budget for the state of Maryland, and that budget that I signed included $7.5 million for the Frederick Hotel and Conference Center project. And now today we are back here together 7 months later, because today we will officially begin demolition on a next generation and a generation-defining project for Frederick. So this is a beautiful moment for the city, for the county, for the state, and frankly, this is going to be a beautiful moment for this country because it shows that partnership produces progress, nothing else will, and this will proceed because we are moving in partnership. And I wanted to also take this as a moment where we can also write a whole new chapter about how we think about economic growth in the state of Maryland. So, truth is that I'm new to politics. But I'm not new to balance sheets. Because before I ran for office, I was an Army officer. Go Army. Tough weekend last weekend, but we'll get over it. And I had a chance to lead one of the largest poverty-fighting organizations in this country. And also, I was a business leader. So I understand that when we're talking about how to develop and foster business growth, that there is no way that you are going to cut your way to prosperity. There is no way you're going to tax your way to prosperity. You got to grow. You need an economy that thrives. And you need to invest in growth and make it easier for businesses to be able to grow and thrive in communities, make it easier for entrepreneurs to pick locations. You must make it simpler for businesses to be able to thrive. You grow your way to success, and there is no other way. And so in thinking about what that means, and in thinking about what is required in order to do that, I am proud that today, on this chilly day in Frederick, that I will sign an executive order to strengthen Maryland's economic competitiveness, which will help Maryland to win this decade. And today's executive order has three main parts. The first, this executive order will streamline the permitting process and make it easier to get through the regulatory process in the state of Maryland. You cannot attract new businesses. You cannot attract new businesses or expand our existing businesses without permitting reform at the state level and also in coordination with our local levels. It should never take a business 3 years to get a permit in the state of Maryland. Because frankly, if it takes too long to get a permit, they'll just choose another place to do their business, which is the absolute wrong answer. We need to find ways to make permitting more efficient while also protecting our environmental elements and also our quality of life, knowing that we do not have to choose between those things. We can do them all at the same time. And this executive order will make sure we can do exactly that. Second thing, this executive order will kick off an all-of-government approach and strategy for prioritizing the sectors of our economy that Maryland has a unique chance of winning in. And the reason we've done this is very clear. Like as a county executive knows, I'm a data nerd. Like I like data. And the data cannot be more clear on this. That we should be making sure that we are competing in areas that we have a unique chance to win, invest in the things that we know we have a unique chance of winning at, and the things that are not working, we need to really think twice. Maryland has unique opportunities to win in certain industries. And after going through all the research and the data, we know that there are three core areas that are going to fuel our economic growth. The first is life sciences, the second is IT, and the third is aerospace and defense. These three areas will open the doors to economic opportunities and economic dominance in a modern economy. So what am I talking about with those things? I'm talking about areas like cybersecurity and computational biology. I'm talking about areas like artificial intelligence and quantum computing. I'm talking about areas where Maryland has the best assets in the entire country, and there is no reason that anyone should be beating us. Maryland is literally the home of NIST. It's the home of NASA. It's the home of APL and every other acronym known to man. It's the home of Fort Meade. It's the home of U.S. Cyber Command. It's the home of the U.S. Naval Academy. Do not tell me that there is any place in this country that should be beating us when all of those assets that are literally leading the charge in those industries are tethered to the state of Maryland. And the only jurisdictions that have ever won have been ones that have been intentional. There is a reason why Massachusetts became the leader of biotech. It's because they were intentional, saying, listen, if we are going to be the home of Harvard and MIT, then let's make sure we're investing in these industries. And guess what? They took the lead, and now they're the national leader in those things. There's a reason that Kentucky is a leader in EV battery technology. And contrary to my friend, the governor of Kentucky, it's not because of their bourbon. They invested. And now they're leading the nation. You must invest in growth. You must be intentional about the industries you're going to invest in. Maryland will do this, and Maryland will win. If we were not investing in life sciences, if we are not investing in IT and cyber and AI and quantum, if we're not investing in aerospace and technology and aerospace and defense tech, it's not just that it will be foolish, it will be derelict. It's time that Maryland get this right. And that brings me to the third item of the executive order. Improving coordination with local governments and building stronger partnerships with private sector leaders. Anyone who thinks that there is one group or one sector or one person who can get this done on their own is fooling themselves. And they're not telling the truth. We need us all. Every sector. And that means moving in genuine partnership in order to make this happen. State government can do everything in our power to drive economic growth. But if we aren't aligned with our local jurisdictions, it's all for naught. It's just a talking point. Making sure that we are walking together and rowing in the same direction, that is actually how you create progress, and that is how you make sure the people of our jurisdictions who put us in these offices in the first place are actually seen and supported. And if we aren't investing in strong relationships with industry champions, if we are not investing in strong relationships with the private sector, if we are not investing in relationships with our job creators, then once again, we are being derelict. Partnership produces progress, and nothing else ever will. So my executive order will direct all parts of my administration, and I think it is absolutely true. When the Moore Miller administration rolls, we roll deep. But there's a reason, because we work together. And this executive order will direct all parts of my administration to ensure better coordination with local governments and to amplify partnerships between the public sector and the private sector. This is how we are going to get this work done. This is how we're going to win. And everybody here who was mentioned, they've helped us craft this executive order, and they are going to be helpful in leading our state towards a future of better partnership, coordination, and growth. So, those are the three elements of the executive order that I will sign today. Permitting and regulatory reform, making big bets in life sciences, IT, aerospace and defense, and improving coordination between our local partners and the members of the private sector. In service of these goals, I will stand up some new entities that will help to establish real parameters and accountability for everyone to be able to see and notice the improvement. Today, I'll officially establish a new Governor's Economic Competitive Subcabinet, a new Governor's Office of Business Advancement, a new Maryland Coordinated Permitting Review Council, and my order also creates a new site readiness program within state government, making sure that we can get our sites that are ready to go, get them the business development that they need. We are going to be unapologetically pro-business in this moment, guys. And this initiative ensures that we identify new development sites all throughout the state so we can get shovels in the ground and get Marylanders to work. So this executive order in this moment, in this time, this is a really big deal. This is a time when, again, we are going to continue letting the country know that Maryland's not playing second fiddle to anybody. And we don't plan on being anybody's farm team. This is the destination. This is the place. It is going to be Maryland's decade. Maryland will be the best place in the world to change the world. And Maryland will be pro-aspiration and pro-innovation. This is the place where we want all leaders to know that their dreams will be protected here and supported. And you're going to have 6.5 million people who are rooting for your success. Because we want everyone to know that the ambitions of this state will be incomplete without you. That the ambitions of this state will be incomplete without the team from Gilead, who just expanded a manufacturing operations in Frederick. Yes. That the ambitions of this state will be incomplete without the team at AstraZeneca, who employs more than 5,000 Marylanders and just announced their $300 million expansion of their Rockville facility earlier this year. That the ambitions of the state will be incomplete without Rocket Lab, who build rockets and help us to explore the cosmos. And we need them now more than ever to figure out what's going on. And last year, they announced a new manufacturing facility in Middle River, where they'll be building their newest and largest rocket called the Neutron. Today is not just about an executive order. It's about a celebration of what right looks like. And we are so deeply grateful to make sure that Maryland continues to grow and thrive, and it's going to happen here. So, before I sign this executive order, I'll just say this to everyone who is looking and listening, to all of our business leaders, to the many CEOs we speak to every week. Come grow here. Let us show you the state that was just ranked #1 in minority-owned businesses in the country. Let us show you the state that not only is one of the most highest educated populations in the entire country, but a state that has the highest percentage of TS clearances in America here in the state of Maryland. Let us show you a state that has a biotech cluster that is the envy of the world. Let us show you a state of what it looks like to have a national leader in industries of the future. Contact us. Let's build. Let's grow. Come visit us in Annapolis or come visit us in Frederick. And also, sincerely, if you want to learn more, contact us. Go to www.business.maryland.gov. Build your future here, because here's where you will win. Together, we're going to make this Maryland's decade. And people generations from now will remember that. And so, with that, I am honored to move over to this table and get this executive order signed, and then get to work on this building back here too. Thank you all, and God bless you guys.